Thank you for sharing those. I think, like rightly as you said, they're very pertinent questions. And I think these are questions that are alive through decades. Something that we keep asking. I don't know whether we'll ever arrive at any answers, or whether when you say about free progress versus the structure that is really needed to, how do you even balance that? But the essence that came is, for me, is that is to be a learner for lifelong. And to that, then I would ask this question to Priti. What did mother mean, or what was it from the perspective when she says to be a lifelong learner? What does this look like? Is it just an attitude? Is it just an expression? What is the, the engagement of it? And a learner of what? And one can have an intellectual learning capabilities when we can, but how does one also bring that into a living wisdom, right? Embody that in the here and the now. And when she mentions a youth never ages, on one hand is the cosmetic that we're looking at where we don't want to age, but I'm sure that is not what she intended. But when she says a youth that never ages, what does she mean by that? How does one really bring this alive as a lifelong learning aspect, whether it is also in schools and homes and communities and the collective?
So,
sorry, I know I asked too many things, but
yeah. So Sudha, thanks. I prepared a lot of things that I thought I should, and as an educator should, and plan as much as possible. But well, what I'm going to share first is there an example of this youth that has? We always. I think it's much better that we talk. If we've actually seen something or experienced something that really stays with us. So I walked into the Delhi ashram, Sri Aurobindo ashram, Delhi branch. Have you been there? Many of you? You've met Tara Didi? She's an example of everlasting youth. She's been with the mother, and it was my pleasure, great joy to work with her. And I actually saw that, she's up before anybody else in the ashram is up. And she switches off after 5 o'clock, switches off in the sense she goes into her silence. It's not switching off in the sense, but it's actually creating a lot of inner space for yourself. What we call me time. And yet, when she's there in her work time, she's fully there. What he just said, there was an example of Tara Didi herself. I was compiling this book with her, Learning with the Mother, where she said, mother used to tell her to, in those days, there were these evening classes with the children that had started. So the recitations and dictations. And mother used to tell her to type, and she, there were typewriters, there were no computers at that time. And she would type, and then mother would find one mistake, and then she would tell her to go, to do it again. And then again there would be something, maybe an error. Mother was never satisfied. So once Tara Didi actually put the whitener, mother was really aghast. She said, you go marching back and you do this. And Tara Didi said, actually today I feel that it has taught me that, when I'm, it's not that she's the founder or she's like, the boss there or something, but the details really matter. And she's not even completed the ashram school. Mother said, it's fine. You do not want to. So she said, Tara, what do you want to do? I do not want to do knowledge. Knowledge is college in the ashram school, college level equivalent. What do you want to do? She said, Mother, I like photography. She said, wonderful. Then you must do photography. And that's what she did. And Tara Didi has today the collection of photographs that we have of mother and the ashram is all because of her. There were, of course, others, but a great part of the collection is owing to her. So mother really brought out the best. But my question to that is that, did mother bring out the best to something that was not already there in her? And in each one of us there is. And that's what Sri Aurobindo actually wrote in 1910, when he was, after he came out of the Alipur jail. He actually wrote these, I would say he furiously wrote these articles in the Karma Yogin, And after that, he actually had to stop writing and then go to Chandarnagar and then come to Pondicherry. But so they were incomplete articles on education he wrote. And it's fascinating. He wrote these 3 principles of education, which are like the key takeaways of integral education. And in 1910, they mattered. I think they existed even during the Vedic times, and they matter now too. The first principle is so revolutionary, is so bold. What does it say? Anybody? Nothing can be taught. It actually takes out the roles of teachers away. What is the teacher doing? Nothing can be taught. So what does the teacher do? Then the second line he says, nah, the teacher is there, she's required, but it's like she's a friend and a guide, she's not a taskmaster. And then he says, then what does she do as a friend and a guide? She helps the child or the person, it could be of any age. Then he actually says in the third sentence, it could be any age. He says, find that knowledge which is already there within. Just unravel it, kind of like, just like a peel, take it out. So does she do it for him? No. He says, just shows that there it is. And that's it. So 2 fundamental things. What does this principle really bring about? That it creates, what does the teacher do? Just a friendly, loving atmosphere. It's very, 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 very important. It is taken out as a very simple thing, very difficult to do. You had a fight at home, and you're coming into the classroom. How do you do it? How do you make that shift? But as she said, the moment you become sincere, what are you for? What are you here for? And then that shift can happen, that stepping back can happen. It takes a lot of practice, but I've seen that it happens. And the children can sense it. And that is where, when the sincerity of the teacher is most important. So if she's coming into the classroom and saying, hey, quieten down, is she quiet within? So the children can actually be listening to you and, saying obediently, okay, she's come and said that, and we should. A little bit of fear is there and all of those things. But there are some who don't even care. Some children who don't care. And those are the ones who actually test the teacher. And then you know that whether you are in your silence or not. Are you really, really, really their friend? Really the one who cares? So that is a very difficult thing to do, but the first thing to do. And then the second thing, to help the child. So in the first principle, actually he says that the knowledge is right there. How can it be right there? So that means you don't need to study anything. How is it right there? So in the synthesis of yoga, again Sri Aurobindo says that there are 2 kinds of knowledge. One is the lower knowledge, the kind of apparent knowledge that if we want to know, the moment you're born, the moment a child is born, the child wants to know. What is that thing that makes you want to know, want to see, want to feel everything, want to sense? That is that power of the Maheshwari. That is the power, the force of knowledge, her force that comes and wants you to know. Yes, you come to know the outer world, and as he said, you want to know and you want to know and you want to perfect it and you perfect it, and yet you go down to the best perfection, and yet you want to know that. Then it comes, what is that real perfection? What is the reality behind all of this apparent knowledge? That, he says, when the seeker is onto that, that is that higher knowledge that he seeks. Behind all that apparent knowledge, there is something, the truth that lies. And that is when you go to that, and all knowledge will actually lead you to that. And we see that, right? We see all scientists and everybody actually, after a point, what is it? What is it? What is it that is making the eyes see? What is it that is making my mind think? What is it that is making me talk? What is that force? And then one becomes quiet. So it is, he says, that when the turning, and then in the second principle he says, so how do you tap that knowledge that is within? How do you take its help so that you can know everything? He says, the inner nature, actually says the mind, but that is in the traditional, at that time he was still using the term, the traditional terminology. So it is the antakarna, the inner nature. The inner nature has to be consulted in its growth. So where he says that every man has something divine in him, and we have to turn, as she said, the psychic, we have to turn towards that. We have to turn towards that, and the learning happens. Now, a little example. I have been a parent. So when I walked into Mirambika, I wasn't a parent, and when my child happened, and she was in Mirambika, she actually did not want to study at all. All she wanted to do is to climb trees, and not to read and write, and they did not even, there was, in the whole of kindergarten, there was no reading and writing. Nothing was really taught. If a person from a normal system, an educational system comes, what is happening? Nothing, everybody's just generally hanging around on trees. But I saw the magic that when the teacher, the integral educator, walks into the classroom, she walks in with her silence, and all the children follow her like a pipe, you know, as if she's the Pied Piper, and they're following her, and they quieten down. 4-year-olds also. That was the power I saw. And in that power, they play, they do everything in that silence. They're building sandcastles, they're doing a lot of things, but they're doing it with a lot of silence. A lot of work has happened on the part of the teacher, where she has really, really worked on herself and been with her divine nature, and that's how she helps the child bring out his or her divine nature out. And I saw today, my child is 16 years, almost 16 years. She's in the ashram school, and she reads and she writes. She wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning on her own. She's in free progress. She wants to study. She wants to play. She wants to do art. She wants to do music. She wants to do dance. She wants to do all of that. So I feel that training, that, you know, to be with one's inner nature and to be in that silence, it was really there. And the child was not doing anything. It was the teacher who was practicing all of these principles. So the principle was actually practiced by the teacher. And I think that was so beautiful. It's so profound, and it's happening. And it's happened with me also as an educator. I've walked into a classroom of children jumping on the benches. This was a normal school. And I would not start the class till everybody quietened down. So I would just be sitting there. And after 10-15 minutes of jumping and shouting and doing whatever they wanted, one of them would come and nudge me. I would sit with my eyes closed. What are you doing? Are you sleeping? Are you meditating? Then the other one would come. No, she's just angry with all of us because we're not, we've not round ourselves and we're not sitting because she's come in the classroom. So all of this, till all of them came and sat in a semicircle around me and actually quietened down because they were so curious that what is happening and why is she sitting so quietly. It took me a lot of strength to do that. To not to be shaken by that outer noise. And that's what I feel this second principle is so profound, and we can use it in our life, in each and everything. What do we do when we are shaken up? Consult your inner nature, nothing. Consult your inner nature and there you are. You can start from there. You can't go right up to the psychic. Go just a little more. Just step back and just a little deep. Just a little bit, and the practice will start. And then the third principle, which is actually the simplest, but which is the best. So where does one start? I want everyone to quieten down. I want the best education. I want Auroville to improve. I want everything to improve. I want the whole world to improve. I want all of us to be so good. Are Baba, he says, no. It won't work like that. Start from the near to the far. He says, start from yourself first, and then you can work on others. It cannot happen otherwise. Where the mother also says in one of her articles, the first thing to do in order to educate a child is to educate oneself. And what is this education she's talking about? Not the ABCs. It's to master oneself. Are you your own master? So that's it, Sudha.
Thank you so much. Thank you for